Ladies and gentlemen, Trey Hendrickson.
Hey, how you guys doing? Appreciate you having me.
Hey, before we get into the football talk, we have this photo that you sent me from this morning. What type of fish is that, and how many of these did we pull out of the water this morning?
Oh, that's a redfish. We were pulling them out as fast as we could reel them in. It was a great day, beautiful morning in Jacksonville, Florida, so I'm incredibly blessed.
Redfish? What color blind? We're just naming fish now?
Because the fish ain't red.
Yeah, because like the fruit, the orange. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It's orange.
Because it is orange, you see. Was it a bad lighting? Is the fish normally red?
Oh, thank God it's not my job, but yeah, no, it's a red drum. It was a heck of a fight, and it was so fun to reel in. So we'll have to get out there sometime because it's incredible.
Are you out at sea there, or are we close? Am I getting seasick while this is happening?
No, I pulled back in the driveway about 20 minutes ago, so it was a full day out there. My buddy Pat took me out, and it was amazing. So
good Irish lad taking you out there, getting you a little red blue bowl of fish. That is that's good morning.
Yeah.
Congrats to you on getting the big fish.
Yeah.
Congrats to you on getting the big fish. Now let's talk about your world that you're in. We haven't spoke to you since Radio Row. Reached out to chit chat with you because owner of the team that you are currently employed by and play for, Miss Katie Blackburn, who is running the Cincinnati Bengals, had this to say yesterday from the owners' meetings to Kelsey Conway. I think he should be happy at certain rates that maybe he doesn't think he'd be happy at, Blackburn said. I think some of it is on him to be happy at some point, and if he's not, that's what holds it up sometimes. So, it takes him to say yes to something, and also, we have all the respect in the world for him. He's been a great player. We're happy to have him, and so maybe we'll find a way to get something to work. We're just going to see where it goes. And then I think she reiterated a fact about, I don't know what's going to happen here. We didn't think they were going to be able to get the T. Higgins and Jamar Chase deals done. Obviously, your deal is being lumped in there because you're a defensive end, you're the sack king, and you are due money as well. So whenever you hear that from the ownership, what do you think immediately? Did you know that she said that? And what is currently happening at this time with you as a Cincinnati Bengal, Trey?
Well, first off, yesterday was April Fool's, so I was traded to all 31 teams and had like 100 different contracts. So the one thing I was hoping that was an April Fool's joke was that article, but called my agent, found out it was not, and that was a little disappointing because communication has been poor over the last couple of months. That's something that I hold in high regard. They have not communicated with my agent directly. It's been something that's been a little bit frustrating, but again, this is the business of it. I'm incredibly blessed to be in the NFL. And I'm excited to be a Bengal, right? To have a year, right, that I have, remaining on my contract. We can get into that real quick. Last year and the year before, I've been talking about long-term contract, guaranteed money, things like that. And it was discussed with me in a meeting, which I'm very fortunate to have had with my agent, that we would get something done this year. So that being said, last year, go out and play to the level you have, we'll get it done. That was communicated with me. So that basically, this year is going to get worked on. They also reiterated that at the combine. So that just kind of clears the air on that. And moving forward, the happiness of my camp, they are more than welcome to call me. I've had my cell phone, same cell phone number since high school. Open line of communication is always open with me and my agent. So if they have anything they'd like to discuss, we've been nothing but willing to listen.
Okay, so you hit on a lot there, and thank you for doing that. Obviously, sounds like you love the Bengals, just like you reiterated at Radio Row. Now, what you said there has been not a lot of communication. What do you mean by that? Because I think a lot of us would assume after the T and Jamar deal get done, and then they're saying they're hoping for a clean sweep with Trey Hendrickson, I believe was reported by multiple insiders. We assumed that I was moving to you to get your deal done. When was the last time? Are you guys currently in the middle of negotiation or conversation, or how does it stand in that particular aspect?
Well, I mean, whenever we have something to resolve in my family, my wife and I, we discuss it and we get to a point where we know we're reaching a decision, and I've been open and transparent about however it looks for me in Cincinnati or not. I want the Bengals to benefit from that. And through this process, communication, when I say it's been poor, it's been like here and there, and respect to Jamar and T. I don't want to take anything away from all the great things they've accomplished in their careers. They deserve everything that they've gotten. And no doubt in my mind, they're going to excel in the National Football League. I have a tremendous respect for both of them. But when it comes to my situation, it would have been nice to know, in some ways, like, hey, we're going to put you in the queue, no problem with me. My wife and I try to be as humble as possible, as Christ-loving people. So we don't have any desires of being highest paid or first in line. We try to be as patient as possible. But when you have things like OTAs coming, and guys like Sam Hubbard, who's a tremendous captain for our team last year, that leaves a vacancy for that, and I'm excited to fill that. But how do we reach that before we get there? And those are the things that matter when you're talking about a Super Bowl. It's in the little things and the little details. So.
Okay, so on that note, D-Bud has a question for you.
Yeah, and I want to be clear. I'm coming from an incredibly biased standpoint as a former Colt and a Colts fan that, I'm sure 31 other teams feel the same way. We want you to get your money, be happy, and be respected. So figure it out. Obviously, you say you're happy to be a Bengal, but with that in mind, you talked about OTAs, minicamp, training camp. We know you're a football player first and foremost, a professional one at that. Do you have a deadline in mind where you want this to be done with, either with the Bengals, or where you reach a point where you say, okay, it's June 1st or whatever, let's get a trade figured out? Do you have a deadline in mind?
Whoa. That's a great question. I think 3 years ago, I began to ask for a long-term contract with guaranteed money. So those deadlines have kind of just all been a blur. I've just been hunting quarterbacks. So at this point, it is what it is. I don't know if I can put a timestamp on it. And that's where, to read what I read yesterday was confusing. Like it's my decision. I would have been willing to sign 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and this year. It was communicated with me that we would get something done this year. And also, like, it reiterated with Duke's comments at the combine. So I kind of treat it like a house now. So, like, house values have gone up. It's the cost of living, and and in some ways, life continues to go forward. And I know I'm a football player. I'm training to be the best Trey Hendrickson I can be, and however that looks, and whatever team, we can address that.
Ripping lips in the morning, doing big-time dips in the afternoon. We're hunting quarterbacks.
Hell yeah.
Around here. We're Trey Hendrickson. And we assumed that, especially after reading that comment from her and then listening to what Duke said at the combine and then listening to you at Radio Row, it's like, okay, this deal is going to get done. It feels like this deal is going to get done, especially with Darius's point where he said, I'm incredibly biased. Like, we at the Colts here, especially with Lou Anarumo, formerly of the Cincinnati Bengals, our defense coordinator, it's like immediately, we need a guy that would be able to. There's a lot of teams that feel that way. I assume the Bengals understand that, so you would think they'd want to get a deal done. Let's hope, communication starts. It's either here or let's go ahead and profit off of how great Trey Hendrickson is. Now, Connor has a question for you, Trey.
Yeah, Trey, New England's another one of those teams. But when Katie Blackburn says, he should be happy at, certain rates, does she mean like a specific rate that they have kind of communicated to you about a possible extension? Or is she talking about the current deal that you are on right now? Like, what do you think she meant when she said, he should be happy at certain rates and some of it, is on you?
Well, full transparency, I'm not going to go into all the details, but like there are things that I'm willing to do and willing not to budge on. I don't think I want to play for incentives that will be out of my control. I don't think I want to play for a short-term contract and see where it goes. I would like to tell my wife, here's where we're going to live. Here's where we're going to build a family together. And some of those things come from, what I've been able to do on the football field. I like that to do the talking for me. I stay out of it with all the trade stuff. I stay out of it with all the contract stuff, and really these things that get me to do these things. I would prefer not to address these things with the media. But again, if I'm hearing from X or Twitter or whatever it's called on details on my contract that aren't privy to me or happiness that I'm not feeling under certain situations, it's. You can say respect, but respect is something that I have for Zach Taylor, and I take it that approach every day, being on time, communicating with him, and telling him that yes, sir, I'm going to do the right things and all those things. And there's a mutual respect. Just to say the word respect, and then actions are speaking a lot louder in a different direction. It's disappointing.
Okay, so as you know, as somebody who has been in the NFL a long time, has them turned down a meeting with Myles Garrett like 3 weeks ago, and then they gave him $40 million. And, Danielle Hunter gets a deal done, and TJ Watt and Micah and you are all on the board. So it feels like that's an easy deal to kind of get done. And if I were you as the Sack King looking around at these other deals that are taking place, multiple years left on contracts, I don't even know if these guys have been promised like, hey, we'll take care of it next offseason. Like you were saying, you were sitting in a meeting and were promised. Feels like an easy deal to get done. And you saying, I would like to have, not an incentive-based contract that is out of my control. Like those are team-based deals or whatever the case is. Like who knows what's going to happen there. You've earned the right to have that. And also to be able to tell your wife, like, hey, we're going to be here for at least the next 5 years. This is probably it for us. This is the last big contract. You've earned that right as well. So I don't think you're out of pocket for saying any of these things. And the Bengals understand that as well. It just feels like maybe there needs to be a little bit of a nudge in this entire situation of either sign or let him go blossom in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Beautiful lakes.
Or Green Bay.
Or New England.
There's good fishing out here in Indiana. AJ has a question for you, Trey.
Yeah, Trey, have you guys, over the course of this time, whenever, like you said, for 3 years, you've been trying to work on this, and you thought something would get done. Has there been an outline of a deal ever out there? Like, how close have you guys gotten? How far have you kicked that can down the road as far as what it may look like if you do get a contract from Cincinnati?
Well, like I said, my wife and I, one of the primary apps I use on my phone is Zillow. So it's a good comparison, right? So 3 years ago, it was the Rashawn Gary, the Montez Sweats. Those guys were balling out. And then the next year, it was the Brian Burns and the Josh Allen deals. And it was like, they were balling. And now it's getting to the point where guys with 2 years left on their deals, Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, guys with 1 year left on their deal, Danielle Hunter, myself, and TJ, and obviously Micah Parsons. He's an incredible athlete as well. Like I just see that that's the street, right? We're on the D-end National Football League street. The market value for that is going up like it did for wide receiver last year. And where I fit in that road is all up to discretion and things like that. So we're willing to talk about those things, but with the market continuing to go up, I'm not going to apologize for that because I've been basically asking for the same thing every year to be solidified as a Cincinnati Bengal for life.
Yeah, and you say you don't want to talk about where you live on that particular street. You're at the end of the cul-de-sac, brother.
Yeah.
You're at the end of the cul-de-sac. That's the Sack King. That's the Sack King. But he's got that baby face.
That's right.
He's got that baby face. And he's normally super quiet. We'll read X, though, it sounds like. He will, yeah. I will understand what's going on around
My dad a little bit more than me, but yeah, he sends me all the things I need to be up to date with.
You said your dad?
Yeah, my dad dabbles. I'm trying to get him off the phones, but it is what it is.
That's awesome.
Beast.
My mom had to delete the Twitter X app from her phone because she was living on there. And anytime anybody said something about me, she wanted to come out. She was like, I don't want to embarrass anybody. Okay, I've been told I'm not allowed to respond. So she deleted the entire app. Had to. And
I'm going to have my dad delete it here soon. I'm telling you, it's just getting...
Well, Tim McAfee won't delete the app. And I know that Tim McAfee has certainly had a bunch typed up, and then for one reason or another, I'm not going to send it. Not going to send it, I guess. Not today. It's tough, especially when, and that's why this, nonetheless, your dad being like, did you hear what the Bengals said today? They respect you. That's a funny little narrative in this entire thing. Ty has the last question for you here, Trey. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, Trey, I know you said you don't really want to speculate and you haven't got into much about a trade stuff, but you told us at Radio Row, hey, if nothing is able to get worked out, I love Cincinnati. I want the Bengals to be able to benefit from this, whether that's draft picks or whatever the case may be. With the draft being about 3 weeks away, do you get any inclination that if nothing is able to get done, that a pre-draft trade is possible? Or has it been one of those things because there has been so limited communication that you still really have no idea on that front either?
Well, you hit the nail on the head on one of those points, and that's like, I have prepared my family for if we're not there, is that, something we're willing to do. And my wife has been so great, and she's so supportive that whatever it looks like, the Lord will guide us and where we're supposed to go. So, it's an interesting dilemma. This is a very unique experience for me and my family, but at the end of the day, we're incredibly blessed to be in a situation where we're talking about leading league in sacks and achieving goals that I've set for myself a long time ago. All these guys that we've been talking about today are all 30 years old. And I think there's a new era of players and taking care of your body that'll go far into that. So, it's one of those things, we're not going to complain about it if we have to play wherever. I personally would love to be in Cincinnati. They got the best fans and obviously the best zoo. So
it is good zoo over here. Mm-hmm. They got good casino there too. I think casino's a winning casino.
Ooh.
I think so. I think it's.
I might feel in New Orleans.
Last time.
I stay out of it.
No, the New Orleans casino.
It used to be.
Last time you told me about a winning casino.
New Orleans understood the assignment. It's a Super Bowl. Everybody's coming here. They flipped the switch off. Okay, they said this one's for us.
Also, it changed names.
It did.
Yeah, got new ownership.
Different casino.
Yeah, I don't think anything. Hey, before we get out of here, Trey, we can't thank you enough for taking time.